All right, let's do it. We're back in the barn here in the middle of the night. I don't know, 2 in the morning. Is that about what it is? Gonna give you recap Monday. Another, winning day. God, hard to believe. Give you a ghost story here in the middle of the night to frighten you, Ohio State fans. See, I got my Ohio State shirt on, so we're gonna tell a little ghost story. Uh, Make you people all afraid, just like I am. And then we're going to give you the picks, 5 of them, for Tuesday, the 29th of December. So let's get right to it. College basketball, we're off to a good start. I'm going to have to update our college basketball numbers at some point. But Drake, I actually watched some of this on the like a bootleg YouTube channel. These back-to-back games, I think I'm getting the gist of maybe why it's, well, you just beat this team by 18. You're coming back less than 24 hours. Why would it be different? I don't know. I think the team it figures, well, we got one in the bank and it's a road series, and we're not expected to win anyway, even though Drake actually was. They were laying upwards of 5 to 6 points. I think they kind of coast there in that second game. Defense, Drake did not play a lot of defense as far as what I could tell. They were just so much more talented than Indiana State, and Indiana State's only good player got in foul trouble, which saved Drake's ass. So they were able to squeak by there, making just enough free throws at the end to cover the number. I believe they won by 7, so that covers it. That's a winner. So like I said, the back half of these, back-to-backs, the second game, you might just get the other team goes to bed feeling bad. They wake up angry. They're ready to play hard. The team that won, they're probably like, yeah, we'll just kind of go through the motions because we already got one in the bag. So I'm kind of thinking that's maybe what we'll have to be careful of in the future. Look at that, Minnesota. Michigan State is seemingly bad. I mean, this is just a flat blowout. Minnesota coming home by over 20. I kind of think Minnesota has a half decent team. I mean, they have a good junior point guard. This kid's going to be pushing possibly to make the NBA at Marcus Carr. They've got a good transfer big in that Robbins kid. He's from Drake. Drake's undefeated. What if they had kept this kid Robbins? Then you'd really see a scary team there in Drake. But as it is, he transferred to Minnesota, and he's doing some business. And then they have this, the aforementioned Brandon Johnson, who's, he's just an older guy. He's like 22, 23 years old, and he's a senior. And he's a 3-year starter at Western Michigan. So he's played some minutes. This is a guy that has played some ball. And I think he's just a steadying kind of 3-and-D kind of presence there on that team. And then, this is a team that I think could do some things here in the Big Ten, it appears to me. So Minnesota, easy winner over a not very talented, from what it looks like to me, Michigan State team. Oh, and then, when you're wrong, you're wrong, and the Patriots that's just not a good team. Yeah, no matter how many bells and whistles and trick plays, Belichick ran a great trick play in the first 5 minutes of the game, probably should have gone for a touchdown, and his squirrely doofus receiver hits him in the helmet and he drops the ball. And it was all downhill from there. So 2 wins, 1 loss. So let me tell you my ghost story. This is why we have this huge game coming up against Clemson, who I absolutely despise. Why? Well, we can't beat them. There's that. I thoroughly think that we got jobbed by the officials last year. That makes me hate them even more. And then their coach just delights in rubbing it in our face, saying we're what, the 11th best team in college. I mean, all right, I get it. You know, we were a bunch of pansies and didn't play right away because of the virus. So I half accept that just because he's right. You know, the virus is more deadly in Big Ten country than it is along the coast in the Atlantic Conference country. No, actually it isn't. It isn't. We're just, you know, pansies and didn't want to play. So now we did play. We played a much shorter schedule than Clemson did. So, you know, I actually can't really hate the guy for saying we're only the 11th best team in the country. Doesn't change the fact that I hate Clemson, I hate Swinney, and I want to beat their ass. But we're not going to. And let me tell you why. Once upon a time, on a Friday night in December of 1978, Ohio State played Clemson in the Gator Bowl. It was not a good year for Ohio State. We had aging coach Woody Hayes as our coach. And he was 65 years old. He had won, I'm going to say, at least 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 national championships. I don't know the exact number. It was more than 1 or 2. Legendary Woody Hayes. Bigger than the team itself. Hell, almost bigger than the state itself. But he had not had a great year. 78, they lost 3 times coming into the Gator Bowl. They'd lost to Penn State, Michigan, Purdue, and then they had tied SMU. So a really lousy year for Ohio State football. And one of the reasons it was lousy was largely because of Hayes himself. Hayes took a 2-year starter at quarterback and put him at wide receiver, meanwhile deciding to start a true freshman at quarterback. Art Schleister, he started at quarterback while he put Rod Gerard at wide receiver. And then, you know, Hayes doesn't throw the ball anyway. So, you know, taking probably one of your best players on the team, Rod Gerard, and just basically putting him in a drawer and didn't really use him. So, you know, we lost games because the coach did not do a good job. But big game, sold out Jacksonville. That's where the game was, at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Probably 3/4 of the fans root for Clemson. That was our opponent, Clemson, if you see where I'm going with this. So it's a close game throughout. Ohio State, Clemson, nip and tuck. Clemson takes the lead. It's 17-15 late. We're trying to get the winning score. We're driving deep into their territory. The clock's winding down, about 2 minutes left. 3rd down, 5 yards to go at about the Clemson, I'm going to say 25-yard line. Art Schleister drops back to pass and throws the ball directly to nose guard Charlie Bauman, who intercepts the ball. And then Bauman veers off the running up the field and runs out of bounds on the Ohio State sideline, right in front of Woody Hayes, who immediately grabs Bauman as he's standing up and hits him about here. Probably about as hard as he could punch somebody. It wasn't like a little shove. It was a full swing, full-on swing. And the Clemson players reacted immediately as if no one else did. The ABC announcers, which were Keith Jackson and Ara Parseghian, didn't see anything. Somehow they didn't see this. All they knew was there was this big melee on the sidelines, and they didn't know why. I honestly don't think they knew why. I don't think they were covering for Ohio State or Woody Hayes. They just didn't see it. And they didn't have 19 cameras back then like they do today. So, but even Bauman, when, you know, he's coming off the field, they asked him what happened. He said, well, I was hit. But he didn't say by who. Then they got back in the locker room, and after a bit, they let the media come in to talk to the Clemson people. Bauman changed his tune and said, "No one hit me, nothing happened. Woody's a great guy, nothing happened." So, of all people covering for Woody Hayes and Ohio State was the guy he punched, Charlie Bauman, strangely enough. But as it turned out, God saw Woody Hayes punch Charlie Bauman, and so did everybody else. So Woody was fired before he even left Jacksonville. The AD called a press conference in his hotel room in Jacksonville and said, "Woody Hayes has been released from duty." And we got the full support of the president. And they said, "Why?" And he said, "I think that's obvious." And this had been coming because Woody has, at that point, let's see, according to the newspapers, he had punched a cameraman in the 76 Michigan game. He had shoved the cameraman before the 74 Rose Bowl. Forget what else he did. He punched himself. I mean, I do that occasionally when I get so damn frustrated from losing. But, Woody did it in national TV. It was coming. It was coming. So now, he punches the opposing player. God saw it. God came down and said, "You, Ohio State, I shall punish you for the transgressions of your grumpy old coach," which I'm going to say you were responsible for him. "I decree for 50 years you shall not beat Clemson. Anytime you play Clemson for the next 50 years, you will lose." And that's what's happened. We've lost every time we've played Clemson. That was 42 years ago. We still got 8 years to go. So we're screwed. There's no way we're winning Friday night. God has decreed that we will lose to Clemson for another 8 years, and that's what's going to happen. So there's no chance in the world that we're going to beat Clemson Friday night. We're still paying for the Woody Hayes, Charlie Bauman punch. Oh, well. Luckily, there are other teams in the country that we can beat. It's just unfortunate that Clemson keeps crumbing up in the playoffs and we keep playing them. Dabo Swinney, I kind of don't think he knows it. I mean, he knows it. That's why he knows that God has cursed us. That's why he can run his mouth so recklessly, because he knows he's going to win. If he thought there was any chance that we might beat him, he might be a little more careful about what he says, but he knows that we've got no chance. So, 2028? I don't know if Swinney will still be coaching then, but if he lasts that long, look out in 29, man, because the curse will be lifted, and then we go to work. Until then, it'll be what it'll be. Maybe one of their guys will punch us, and somehow they'll get cursed. That's about the only thing I can think of that'll lift the curse before the end of the 50-year period. Anyway, all right, what do we got here for Tuesday? We got some college football here. I'm semi-encouraged. We've hit our last 2 college football plays. And we've got a good one here, a real good one. And by that, I mean one I really think we're going to win. And I don't know the name of the bowl. Is it the Cheez-It Bowl? The Cheez-It Bowl? Jesus Christ, who comes up with these names? I mean, anyway, I think the game's in Orlando again. And we have our man Mike Gundy. He's going up against the Hurricanes from Miami, and he is a 1-point favorite. Now, I think the key determiner in this game is just going back to the last game Miami played. They gave up 60 points to North Carolina. They gave up over 700 yards in total, over 500 yards rushing. I think that's a record. I'd have to look that up. But if you give up 500 yards rushing, that's not, oh, we had a bad game. That's you have real problems. There's systemic, that's a 2020 word that everybody likes to use. You have a systemic issue there on defense. Largely, you can't stop the run. Now, to make it worse, even two of Miami's better players who think they're going to the NFL, they've opted out of this game. So, you know, in fairness, Oklahoma State's top running back opted out because he thinks he's going to the NFL. Well, if you're giving up 500 yards rushing, it doesn't matter who's back there. Yeah, I could put Mark back there, my brother, and he could run for 300 yards. All right, maybe only 150, but he would definitely be able to get through some of those giant holes a little bit. So I just think that one's easy. You know, I just think you just take Gundy there. He's a good coach. And expect him to exploit Miami's horrible run defense. That's a top play there. I don't know what else to do but make that a top play. Over here, we got Alamo Bowl, an actual name of a bowl, not some crazy United States corporation or Chinese corporation or what have you. Texas, for the second year in a row at the Alamo Bowl, they're a 7-point favorite over Colorado. Gotta like Texas here. I only put 2 stars in this just because it's Texas and I don't trust them. But they won easily last year. It's basically a home game for them. I mean, even though, well, it's Texas, so there are going to be fans there. And it's in the heart of Texas, if you will. In other words, if there is a game that's more important to Texas than it is Colorado, it's a game being played at the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. You recruit that area. You don't want to embarrass yourself right there in the middle of Texas country. So Tom Herman has a good bowl record. I think he's going to come out and do his thing and beat Colorado by more than a touchdown. So that's our play there, 2 stars. Now, college basketball, we got 3 of them here for you. Central Michigan, we're going to take them on the road against Eastern Michigan in the MAC. Let me see. We got some reasoning here for those. If I can read my own writing. I can't read my own writing. Well, here's the main thing. These guys haven't played a whole lot, Eastern Michigan. I think they've only played like 4 games. Both teams played some small little non-Division I school, Oliviet, and Eastern Michigan beat them by 30. That's pretty good, right? Central Michigan beat them like by 60. So, and they're an underdog. So I'm kind of thinking that Central Michigan's every bit as good as Eastern Michigan, and we're catching some value here. They've played more games. They're more in a rhythm. They beat a comparable opponent by more. Hey, I think this is a no-brainer. Take the 5.5 Central Michigan. That's your play there. USC Santa Clara. We like these power 6. I say 6, my 6th power conference. That'd be what would it be? The Big East, I guess. But the what are we going to say here? Like them playing against the smaller conferences, Santa Clara, that's the West Coast Conference. West Coast, of course, is Gonzaga's conference, but, that's pretty much Gonzaga, St. Mary's, BYU, and that's it. So Santa Clara, not in the same class as USC. Now, one thing that makes me a little nervous about this is USC could be looking past Santa Clara to get to their Pac-12 opener against Colorado. But one thing I think that may mitigate that somewhat, what normally I think would be a negative, USC has not played much. They're coming off a huge long layoff. And that I don't think is a good thing. But I'm playing Santa Clara. They're not a total pushover. I'm only favored by 11. I'm not favored by 25. So I better mind my P's and Q's here or I'm going to get embarrassed. I'm going to lose. So I think USC is going to try to really be sharp here. They may fumble around for the first 5, 8, 10 minutes, but I think they're going to get dialed in and they're going to then pull away from Santa Clara. We just think we got a coaching edge there. Santa Clara, we don't think they're all that special. And that's pretty much how we're looking at that. So one star there with USC. And then lastly, we got another power conference versus a minor leaguer. Texas Tech, that's a big number. But, I checked out Incarnate Word, their numbers against, elite top 20 teams. And Texas Tech they're an elite team. And it's pretty much 40, 40, 40. They lose by 40. That's pretty much what they're losing by when they're playing these elite teams. Little worried that Texas Tech won't score enough, but we'll go with it. So those are our plays for Tuesday. Oklahoma State, Texas in college football, and then we got Central Michigan, USC, and Texas Tech. All right, so I hope I didn't frighten you Ohio State people too much with my ghost story, but that's how I see it, that we've been cursed by God and Woody Hayes. I mean, God didn't punch Charlie Bauman. Woody Hayes did, so it's not God's fault. But, I think God does deal in round numbers. Just be happy he didn't curse us for 100 years. I don't think I'd outlive that one. 50, I expect to outlive that one. So, we only got eight more years to go, and then we'll be back in the hunt here, and we'll pay Clemson back eventually. It just won't be this year. So, thanks for being here. Appreciate your loyalty. Appreciate it if you hit the like button. That makes me feel good. Hit the subscriber button. That makes me feel even better. Thanks. We'll talk to you again. Out.